Welcome to the KevinMc Sports Hour here on News Talk 99.7 FM and AM 630, WPRO, 790 The Score. If you can stream at home, Alexa, all that good stuff. Appreciate everyone tuning in Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock. And we're starting with the PGA Championship because, it's a major. It's my show, and I watched for about 7 hours this weekend. What do you want me to do? Watch the Red Sox? Anyways, I love the reaction online, even with some friends like Aaron Rai. Who's Aaron Rai? Well, if you pay attention to the PGA Tour, you know who Aaron Rai is. I'm not saying he was a budding, major champion, but he's a major champion because he deserved it. But it was a strange weekend for sure. Alex Smalley was leading after the third round. Matai Schmidt in the mix as well. Like, who are these guys? Well, why it's more exciting to see, Rory and Scotty and John Rahm and the best in the world fight it out on the back nine Sunday afternoons. Sure, that's what CBS is looking for. It's not how this sport always works. It does seem that most of the time the big names are there in the majors fighting it out. And there were some, certainly yesterday. But every week is different. The courses are different. The weather is different. Guys have their game dialed in. Others do not. You see it if you follow professional golf closely. And what's odd is, there's four majors. And you look at the list of Masters champions, the list of U.S. Open champions with some notable exceptions. Certainly the British Open champions. But the PGA, you get some no-names in the PGA. And I'll give you some recent names, but this is a trend that goes way back. Guys like Rich Beam and Sean McKeel, Jason Duffner, Y.E. Yang, outdueled Tiger Woods once. Guys can come from way off the board and win. Aaron Rai was the 44th ranked player in the world coming into the PGA Championship this week. He's now 15th, and deservedly so. What a story, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But also, the course did a lot of noise this week, which usually isn't a good thing, but this was a good thing. Aronimink in Philly, up near Villanova, really shined. The PGA did what I wish more. Certainly majors, but more of these tournaments did. Grow the rough big time, and that means the approaches from the rough, we're not going to hold these greens. That should happen. Just grow the rough. We don't need the Greater Greensboro Open minus 25 under to win a major championship, okay? So John Rahm and Justin Thomas and Rory and Xander and Scotty were all in and out of the top 10, some in the top 5, but couldn't get it done. Aaron Rai, he shoots 65 on Sunday. That's what got it done. 401-438-WPRO, 438-9776. Let's get started with tonight's three big hits. The Red Sox are on to Kansas City tonight for a game against the Royals. Rain is in the forecast. See if they can get it in. Sunny Gray is expected to start for Boston. Word on Roman Anthony, not especially good. He swung in BP today, was uncomfortable. He will not play in any of the three games in Kansas City. NHL, a Game 7 tonight in Buffalo as the Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens battle to see who moves on to face the Carolina Hurricanes. NBA, Western Conference Finals, Game 1 tonight. San Antonio is at Oklahoma City, and the Pelicans have hired Jamal Mosley as coach. He was just fired by the Orlando Magic. NFL news, the league is expected to award the 2030 Super Bowl to Nashville, the Music City getting a new stadium for the Titans online in 2027. Aaron Rodgers reported to OTAs today with the Steelers. Rodgers re-signed to play for new Pittsburgh coach Mike McCarthy, his former coach in Green Bay. And in college hoops, circle Saturday, November the 7th on the calendar for a trip to Mohegan Sun. The PC Friars and Rhody Rams are both on a doubleheader marquee. Friars facing Nebraska, the Rams matching up with Monmouth. That'll be packed, Rooch. There's no question about that, right?
Yeah. 95 is going to be jammed.
Well, the blackjack tables will be jammed before and after the ball games.
That's true.
You don't need to see the best of the best every week to watch a major in golf, right?
No, you and I don't need to see the best of the best every week. But as you alluded to, CBS and the sport at large could use the best of the best competing every week, especially when
they got Rory in the Masters.
They do, but Rory isn't Tiger Woods, and I don't mean from a skill perspective. I mean from a draw perspective. So, the PGA, like again, for golf fans, golf nerds like yourself. Yeah, it's really all about the course and all about how well the champion ends up playing and how they tame the course. And whether that's someone like Rory or someone like Aaron Rai, you're going to be able to find enjoyment. But it's tough when, it is such a great performance. But it's like, yeah, I don't really care about this guy, not only because he was 50th in the world, but because who did he topple to win the tournament, right?
No, he really fought past Alex Smalley
yesterday. Exactly. And that's not his fault.
But it's funny, when you see names like that, and, Justin Thomas is there, and, Oberg is there, and Rory's knocking on the door. You're waiting for one of those two or both to choke, right? I mean, that's really what it is. This guy can't do it. Well, Smalley went backwards. Aaron Rai went forwards. Again, great story. Did not grow up, a pampered country club kid. He was from England, and his dad, bought him clubs, really nice clubs, and basically said, these are the clubs you're getting for a while. So he actually had head covers for his irons as a kid and into his early college years. No one does that. I mean, these guys go through clubs like they go through hockey sticks, for God's sakes.
Got to protect him, though. He took care of his stuff.
He did. He certainly did. Aaron Rai, the first Englishman in forever to win the PGA. All right, Rooch, I tweeted yesterday, and it got all sorts of people I've never seen of. These golf people, you can't tweak them. If you tweak them at all, it sets them off. And I basically, the push of the tweet was that this Aronimink I really enjoyed watching it because they grew the rough and they made it tough. And the vast majority of people quickly agreed, but others were like, no, I want to see birdies. It was... They didn't say too difficult, but it was not entertaining enough. Are we there, too, with the common golf fan? You need birdies and eagles for people to be excited? And I get it. You don't want to see the U.S. Open where no one makes birdies, but there were plenty of birdies yesterday.
Yeah, I would rather see the U.S. Open where nobody makes birdies. I'm one of those golf fans who likes to see the golfers suffer, but a combination of I like to see somebody beat a course that's worth beating. To your point about the Greater Greensboro Open or what have you, these shootouts, it used to be that those were sort of the exceptions on tour, right? Where it's like, oh, wow, what was that turn? That guy was 31 under. That's crazy. Oh, that was one of those, courses with no rough and whatever. But now that seems to, more be the norm, which is why you get these people complaining about the scoring, but it shouldn't matter whether it's a birdie or a par at the end of the day. It never really has to me. I've never been wowed by how far someone was under par, how much they blasted the rest of the field.
Yeah.
Absolutely impressive. And they can be +3. If they beat everybody else by 10, that would have been one hell of a thing to watch. So, yeah, I'm all for tougher courses, just like you, and better tests. But, again, back to the point, that's just us.
That's just us.
They need more eyeballs, and that's just tough for them.
How did Aaron Rai do it? Well, at driving accuracy, he was 4th in the field. Putting, he was 5th in the field. And his 22 birdies was 1st. Right? Hit it straight, make some putts, make some birdie putts. You're going to be right there. And, again, timing, right? You shoot 65 on Sunday. That'll cut it. So there were, there's always issues in majors, and there were a couple. Garrick Higo, right? Was that his name?
That's right. Yeah, Garrick Higo, late to his tee time.
Late to his tee time on Thursday in the opening round. He played well. And then on Friday, he did not play well, missed the cut. Well, he fired his caddy today.
Yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah,
his caddy's
it was definitely his caddy.
Not only did his caddy allow him to be late on the first day, but he obviously picked a bunch of crappy clubs for him to hit on the second day.
That's right.
Which is and bad reads on the green, I'm sure.
No question.
That's why he missed the cut.
And yesterday, as Rory McIlroy was making his charge, and he was a lot of leaks in Rory's game yesterday, especially on the back nine. This happened. Shocking. Philly being Philly, right? Even if he had a golf course, those Eagles fans have to do something here in May, right?
Yeah, Rory wasn't enjoying the perks of being in Philadelphia. And, of course, that's just a combination of, him being frustrated and the timing of the whole thing. I'm sure if he had aced that thing within 2 inches of the pin, he wouldn't have had such choice words.
He was hitting out of the rough and dumped it into a bunker.
Right, exactly.
That pretty much ended any long shot hopes of that he had.
Yeah, exactly. So the fans were, that's what they're going to do, like you said. I don't know if you noticed this. I was reading this about KevinMc and something that people really enjoyed, which, hey, again, speaking to the popularity of golf, maybe other tournaments should take note here. Concessions were part of your ticket.
Yes.
All you can eat, and there were never lines because of how many concession stands they had. You could have burgers and fries, the whole nine, everything except for alcoholic beverages were included in your ticket. They want to get more people to get to the course, start playing the game, watch it on TV. Free burgers is a great way to go.
Yeah, as you know, the PGA of America, which is like the pros, the teaching pros, they run this tournament.
Right.
And they also run the Ryder Cup. And they did that concession all-in pricing at the Ryder Cup last year.
Smart.
It clearly included beer at Bethpage Black because those fans were completely out of control. Or maybe that's just a New York thing.
Yeah.
But Philly doesn't back down too much.
No, I don't think you need to make the beer free to get those people revved up or lubed up, as Tom Brady would say.
Lubed up. And the most important golf event yesterday, golf result, was on the Corn Ferry Tour where my guy, Cole Sherwood, who bunked with the McNamara's for a couple of years when he was playing the Northeast Amateur at Wannamoisett. Vanderbilt's own Cole Sherwood won his first career victory. Congratulations to Cole on the Corn Ferry. What did I say, 180 G's?
That's pretty good.
Is he going to pay me rent?
I was going to say, so at least 10%. Like I don't remember. I haven't read up on what the etiquette is for room and board, but I think 10% of that feels right.
A great young man, only 24, 25 years old, has a great future ahead of him. I think we'll see him in future PGA championships, as a matter of fact.
Hey, and you know what? Since we don't really know who he is right now nationally, puts him right in line to win a PGA championship someday.
Of course, yes. Aaron Rye, Cole Sherwood.
There you go.
Why not? A little on the Red Sox when we come back on the Kevin Mack Sports Hour. Welcome back to the Kevin Mack Sports Hour here on WPRO and 790 The Score. It's May. It's baseball. Is it baseball season? It's baseball season. I guess we have to talk about the Red Sox almost every show. We're going to make some exceptions if they continue to play like crap. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's not good.
I mean...
But that alone is sometimes a reason to talk about it.
Well, that's true.
If they're so impressively crappy that there's, on pace to set some sort of record, then that's talk show worthy.
Hey, negativity is good. Now,
right.
not if you're, Jaylen Brown, and we'll get to him a little bit in just a bit. But, okay, what is this, like an unfair question? What the heck are they going to do with Bryan Bello? I remember when he came up, he was, tutored by Pedro Martinez, and he had, the Pedro long fingers, and, this prospect, that prospect. Rooch, is going on a year and a half. He's not very good at all. And he was just horrendous yesterday in Atlanta. Early in the season, they had the opener for him because he wasn't ready to start. Well, he started yesterday and was horrendous. Their pitching overall has been good. They can deal with Bryan Bello for a few more starts. I say not knowing exactly what their flexibility will be, but maybe when a Garrett Crochet comes back, Bryan Bello goes, elsewhere, but out of the rotation. He doesn't deserve it right now.
No, he doesn't deserve it right now, and he's very rarely been deserving during his time up. And, at the time, I said about Bryan Bello that while he did seem like a legitimate prospect, I felt like he was being forced upon Red Sox fans.
He was hurried, correct?
Well, that could be true, too.
Yeah.
But I mean more just the optics of, you just talked about it, the big deal that was made about the similarities between Pedro Martinez, and it's just like...
Yeah, come on, please.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy is... not only is he not even close to Pedro, which, okay, nobody really expected, but those similarities, I mean, are we talking about that he looks like him? Is that, I mean, I saw him from a couple hundred yards away, and I thought that was Pedro? Is that what we're doing here? Because, no, I mean, Bryan Bello has always, to me, sort of looked like a guy who, middle to back end of the rotation. If he's on your team, great, but you're not moving mountains to train him, teach him, or keep him, or anything like that, and he hasn't proven me wrong necessarily yet. So, the Red Sox, one thing they'll probably tell you is pitching is the strength of the team right now, so they can afford to wait this out and see what happens with Bryan Bello. But as I say, every time someone trots out something like that, good luck with that pendulum. Good luck having this pitching all season long. You can't take those chances if you really want to compete, but they'll be taking those chances because they don't really want to compete.
Well, and you always wonder, the evaluation, okay? Breslow, he is, needless to say, his entire body, not his hands, everything is on the fire here. He's likely to lose his job if the team doesn't dramatically improve between now and the end of the season. And, evaluation. Back in spring training, I get it. Bryan Bello, they're not going to, start him in Worcester. He's a, quote, major league pitcher. I'm sorry. Tolley is way better than Bryan Bello. I thought he was last year in the little hiccup, that he, of experience that he got. And certainly this year, he's been very good. So if you have Sonny Gray, who's been better, Suarez, who's finally healthy, Early and Tolley, that only leaves one more spot. It's going to be Garrett Crochet. I do think Bello is pitching himself out of the rotation here, and they don't need it. Well, you always need a sixth, seventh starter, but maybe this guy has to go back to Worcester and get some seasoning.
Yeah, or maybe he can become some sort of trade deadline chip. Although, again, I don't know what they would, they're not going to do anything at the trading deadline. And I guess that's why he could be moved because he's not going to garner much in return. But,
no.
Bryan Bello, I sort of joke about that. He's more valuable to the Red Sox right now than he probably is to any other team just in terms of what they have invested. And I'm with you. You don't necessarily cut bait, but you got to get him out of the rotation.
Yeah.
Send him back down. Do whatever you have to do to see what you have ultimately with this guy. And I think you're going to find that you don't want to move forward with him, and you're going to have to find another option in your rotation.
All right, two more baseball items. Again, Roman Anthony had soreness, taking some swings today before the game in Atlanta. He has that right wrist sprain, and it's been a while. Been on the injured list since May 7th, so it's coming up on 3 weeks here. You'd like to be able to, get him back in there, but then again, you can't push it, right? I mean, he's kind of got you over a barrel here. Maybe by the weekend when the Red Sox come home, he can get back out there. And the big baseball event of the day is our friend Brody Bamilla. Now, if you don't know who Brody is, you haven't been paying attention. He's
the Paul Bunyan of Bristol County, Massachusetts.
He certainly is. First of all, he doesn't even play basketball, and he dominated the Massachusetts high school tournament this year and led Bishop Fee into a state championship. His real sport is baseball. He's 6'9", 240 pounds, and if anyone gets a walk or a foul ball, it's news up there in the Attleboroughs. Today, somebody did get a hit, but Peter Abraham and 20-plus, Peter Abraham from the Globe, and 20-plus scouts with their radar guns are watching Brody throw 100 miles an hour and play himself into the first round of the draft. If you get a chance to go and see this kid before his season ends this year, we haven't seen too many like him around here.
No, and I saw at last county it struck out 14 of 18.
Okay.
This might have been your last chance to see him pitch, because if he's in front of 20 scouts putting up numbers like that, I'm thinking a bunch of them are going to walk up to him after the game and be like, son, you'd be wise never to throw a ball again.
In the state of Massachusetts. Until you're pitching at Fenway Park.
Yeah. That's right. And I hope for Fian fans and baseball, local baseball fans, that's not true, but we know how this works more often than not.
We do. Okay, Jaylen Brown, Stephen A. Smith. Have you caught this one? We'll get to that next on the Kevin Mack Sports Hour. Welcome back to the Kevin Mack Sports Hour here on WPRO 790 The Score. That's ESPN's Shams Charania with the breakdown of SGA winning the MVP. Those are some pretty impressive numbers. Imagine not scoring less than 20 all season long.
That's pretty good.
I mean, everyone has a bad night. I mean, not Rooch, but everyone has a bad night.
And especially considering, he matched Wilt Chamberlain with that number, right?
Right.
Like, he's doing this. He's not a three-point shooter, and he's not a dominant big man. I think, of the three things you could be and do this, his is by far the most impressive. He's not launching threes. You can make what you want about his free throw merchantness, but the guy's doing it in the mid-range and attacking the rim, and to me that's even more impressive than if Wilt Chamberlain or, some three-point sharpshooter pulled this off.
All right, so obviously winning back-to-back is not easy. We say 11 players have done it. I go back and look, and I knew that Larry Bird had won 3 years in a row. So here's the trivia question of the night for you, Rooch. Michael Jordan obviously is Michael Jordan. How many times did he win the MVP back-to-back?
Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
0.
Once.
Yeah.
And you think once? Really?
Really? As a Jordan fan growing up, I remember they didn't want to give it to him, which happens with a lot of players. They look for reasons not to give it to him because, again, what's the award, right? It's like it's the most valuable player. It's not who you're sick of this year because they've been great for so long, but that doesn't surprise me, if only because I remember that complaint, year in and year out. It's like, well, they're not going to give it to Jordan, so.
And it's really tough to win if you're an American, right?
Recently, what is it? 2018, James Harden was the last American
Think about that.
to win the MVP. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that is Canadian.
Yes.
So he's grabbed 2 in there. Jokic has 2. Giannis has 2.
Yep.
And Steve Nash has a couple as well.
Joel Embiid from France.
That's right. And Embiid and Nash was obviously before that run. But, it's been since 2018 since an American has pulled down that award. I wonder how Adam Silver et al. Feel about that. I bet they feel great. They tried to make it a global game.
They wanted an international game.
That's
they got
right.
it. They certainly have it.
Yeah.
Before we get to Jaylen Brown, I did think this was an interesting one. A Game 7 last night. Cleveland goes into Detroit. And all season long we told you, Detroit, running away with the Eastern Conference. They'll have home court. I like the Celtics' chances to beat Detroit and get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now it's going to be either the Knicks or the Cavaliers. Here's Pistons coach J.B. Bickerstaff. It's very disappointing. You were the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
You lost, I think, maybe 3 times at home in this series.
Blown out by 30
Blown out
in
in
Game
Game 7?
I mean,
Come on, please.
That's the exact word you like. JB Bickerstaff is just I don't know what he's doing there, but that's the exact word you use to avoid using other words.
Hey, we had a great season.
Right.
A lot of guys made huge jumps, but what a disappointing end.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Obviously, we wanted to win, and here he is like, I don't know. Like, I'm just really proud of these guys, and I'm not disappointed at all. I'd fire you on the spot. The second you walk out of that room, I'd be on the other side of those double doors. The second they swung shut, my hand would be extended, and I'd be like, thanks, JB. Why don't you go find Jamal Mosley, your buddy, and maybe he can give you a job.
Yeah. Too nice. Too nice in today's modern NBA. You got to crack the whip a little bit.
Seriously.
Now, Jaylen Brown, as we recall, got himself into trouble a few days after the Celtics went down for the count and got knocked out in the playoffs by basically saying that this past year was his favorite season of his career.
Yeah.
Not when he won the championship, not when he was the MVP of the NBA Finals. That drew an awful lot of criticism from media right here on the Kevin Mack Sports Hour, and pretty much anywhere else with anyone with a pulse, including ESPN's Stephen A. Smith. Well, Jaylen Brown, he's been listening, taking notes. And believe me, Jaylen, we're happy you speak to the media, but when you say stupid things to the media, like you just enjoyed your favorite season, you're open to criticism. This is a guy who's been in the NBA for 10 years. He gets it. But boy, I'm sorry. Retirement? You're telling a media person to retire? First of all, media people, especially someone like Stephen A. Smith, is paid for one thing, to give his opinions. Yeah, are they supposed to be fact-based? Of course they are. And guess what? This one is. It's not as if he's fishing and making up reasons to criticize Jaylen Brown.
No.
You said stupid things. He's criticizing them. That's how this works. For years, when newspapers were taking names and kicking butt, they always used to say, you never want to get in a back and forth with a newspaper because they sell ink by the barrel, or they buy ink by the barrel. Well, Stephen A. Smith, his words are by the bushel, right? And he's not going to back down from this at all.
No, especially when Jaylen Brown is just factually incorrect about this argument. Like, I don't want to side with Stephen A. Smith, but this isn't really a tough one. Stephen A. was referring to Jaylen Brown going on these Twitch streams
right.
and these social media sites that he's gone on in the past couple weeks and giving these rants, whereas then Jaylen Brown flips it around at the end there and says, I get fined if I don't talk to the media. Yeah, if you hadn't gone on that Twitch, bro, nobody would have fined you.
Yeah.
You're not smart. You're not even arguing correctly. And you know what tips me off about that? Your Cal Berkeley education. I've heard you misuse the word bias so many times. Oh, the media, they don't have a bias, so they can't report. Bro, you got that backwards. You got that completely backwards. You're calling them biased against you. Stop using that word. You don't know what it means. Watch The Princess Bride if you really want to figure out how to use words when you know what they mean and get that line down. But Jaylen Brown is just so, he gets all this credit for being smart. I'm done with that. He does good things for the community. He's a big-time dope.
Yeah, and hey, Jaylen, you are obliged to do media after games, before games, when you are, in season with the Boston Celtics. Outside of the season, and yet your season ended like a month ago in the first round of the playoffs after you blew a 3-1 series lead. You don't have to say another word until media day in October. Why he's jumping on this Twitch stream, and I love one of
blasting expletives at Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, and one of Stephen A.'s lines was great. He said, dude, you make $55 million. Next year you're making $61 million. Can you just get a producer in a better studio? Because this Twitch thing, it seems like he's doing it in someone's garage.
It's like a hostage situation.
Hostage situation.
I mean, again, like Jaylen Brown, I wish this weren't the case because he does so many great things for the community.
He does.
And you know what? He's a great player. And he doesn't need to be nice. I've liked plenty of guys that were jerks. Sometimes that can be better. But, this is just so, focus, to Stephen A.'s point, sort of, it's focus your energy in the right direction, bro. You're complaining about people flopping when you're out there stiff-arming everyone on your way to the hoop. You're out here telling people, that they should shut up and that you never talk while you're talking and misusing a bunch of words. So he thinks he's so holier than thou. He's not. And I doubt any sort of reckoning is coming, but it would be advantageous, I would think, to him and the Celtics if he shut up sooner rather than later.
No question. I will say this. An awful lot of these guys have such a lofty opinion of themselves and their ability to use the English language,
right?
That they like to almost audition for their post-career where they can become a TV analyst, right? We've seen that over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jaylen, this is not the way to do it. You don't attack one of the biggest names in basketball media, A, and B, you're not fighting the good fight here. Talk about the finals. Talk about what's happening in basketball. Fine, but not some little media, back and forth skirmish. No one really cares.
He wants to enter into the fray on matters of basketball or even petty drama. Again, I'm all for it. I'm here. Our job sort of dictates that he or someone do things like that so we can talk about it. But he's just so, again, accusing people of flopping when he himself is one of the most egregious violators of fouling in the NBA is ridiculous. And now this, it's like, no, man, just come after real stuff.
Yeah.
And that can be petty and stupid too, but at least then it'll be real these boogeymen that he's inventing are just embarrassing for everyone involved.
And I think Stephen A. has a show, like multiple shows every day.
Oh, God, like every hour.
Yeah,
he's got a new show
a lot of
starting.
time to fill and to talk about stupid people or people who are bothering him. And right now, I think Stephen A. is going to win that war of words, no question. All right, when we come back, tonight's KevinMc Sports Pick of the Night. All right, the second leg of the Triple Crown is in the books. The Preakness Napoleon Solo with the victory on Sunday. And, I found out a little trivia, Rooch, which I know you always like more trivia. This is trivia night on the show. Napoleon Solo was a character on a 1960s show.
Okay.
Called The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh, sure.
Which I think you and I have both heard of, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., but neither one of us was born to see it. So
no, they did a terrible movie reboot within the last decade, I would think, starring the now disgraced Armie Hammer.
Okay.
Which I did not see. But, I am only familiar with The Man from U.N.C.L.E. by name.
By name, yeah,
yes.
me too.
I think Uncle is an anagram, right? Is that correct?
It is.
Yeah.
I think it was a spy show.
Tune in tomorrow. We'll tell you what that anagram stands for.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, before we go to tonight's pick, because we got a minute or so here, two shout-outs. One is to my uncle, Bill McNamara, passed away on the weekend. Huge sports guy. I love sports. I got the track and field program running at Johnston High School back in the 70s and is in the Johnston Sports Hall of Fame. So rest in peace, Uncle Bill. And also the Reverend Robert Randall. This guy was unbelievable. 99 years old, passed away over the weekend. The best golf. You'll love this, Rooch. This guy had it wired in. He was like a scratch golfer and played at some of the best golf courses in the country and said mass, on his way in and out of town. He had it totally wired. He
Probably
was
able to write it off on his taxes, too.
Exactly.
That a guy.
But, boy, what a great guy, Father Randall. Again, R.I.P. to two great Americans. Let's get to the KevinMc Sports Pick of the Night. All right, let's go to the NBA. The conference finals are finally here. Tonight, Oklahoma City against San Antonio. It's funny, I threw this at a couple friends on the weekend. They said, I like San Antonio. I said, well, you know that you can get a decent price on them to win the series. It's 2-1. I thought it would be more than that. Well, it's plus 200, Rooch. I thought it would be a little higher than that. Thought Oklahoma City would be favored a little heavier.
Yeah, a little bit. That's not a bad call. It's not way off or anything like that, but as we discussed going into the playoffs and things of that nature, it's not often that a team bursts through, which would be what San Antonio, as a team that missed the playoffs last year, making it to the conference finals is kind of unheard of.
It is,
or very rare. Winning is a whole other ballgame. Now, these odds don't reflect that. These odds reflect the fact that Oklahoma City plays the most efficient basketball in the NBA and that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is its best player. So, they have a better team. They get, what's his name coming back there? Why am I blank? They got the two Jaylens.
Williams.
Jaylen Williams.
Yeah.
They got Jaylen Williams coming back. So if I'm hanging my hat on San Antonio, it's two things. One, I love Wemby. I love what they're doing. I think they're a matchup problem for Oklahoma City. And two would be that maybe the return of Jaylen Williams sort of upsets the apple cart a little for Oklahoma City, if just enough to allow San Antonio to sneak by. Because while I agree with the sports books, Oklahoma City has an edge. Even at 2-1, this is a series, right? Like one game can sort of flip this whole thing. And at 2-1, that's sort of factored in. It's like, hey, San Antonio wins on the road. They could certainly take this series. But I do like the Thunder to emerge. And you briefly touched on, we did earlier, Cleveland and the Knicks.
Yeah.
Over under 1.5, and give me the under on how many games those teams win in the finals against whomever comes. I mean, wow, that Detroit Cleveland series. Both of those teams should be home right now.
Well, I'll be disappointed if the Knicks don't make a quick order of Cleveland because they've played very well. And Cleveland's not very good. Now
they might win, but they can't make quick work of anybody.
Well,
outside of Philadelphia, I think.
They did at Philly. Yeah, they swept them.
Yeah, that might be it.
But I'm with you. Cleveland did nothing for me. By the way, spread tonight is 6.5. The OKC is favored. Basically, looking at the exact same thing in the East. Knicks are minus 265. You can get Cleveland for plus 215. And the opening line for their game one tomorrow is 7.5 points. So very similar.
Very similar. The one thing there is, as opposed to in the Western Conference Finals, Oklahoma City, defending champion, very trustworthy, very predictable, at least to a certain extent. I believe what I just said, and I back up what I just said about the Cleveland Cavaliers being a walking, talking dumpster fire of a basketball team. The New York Knicks are the definition of a walking, talking dumpster of a basketball team. Like the New York Knicks, the New York Mets, if you're from New York and you got that blue and orange color scheme, there's a decent chance that you're about to choke something away. So if I'm betting on one of these underdogs in the conference finals, unfortunately, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I'd go with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Wow.
Because as much as I like the Spurs,
you just can't sign on to the Knicks.
Yeah, well, you go find yourself some other people who have signed on to the Knicks. See how they're doing, my friend.
His name is Dan York. He
Right.
precedes me every day, Monday through Friday.
Right. Willis Reed's not walking through that door, fans.
He's not. Walt Frazier, maybe?
Yeah, he's already inside.
Yeah, play Tyler Kolek, too, if you really want to win that series
That's
easily.
the karma you need,
Let's
the Kolek karma.
That's it. We'll be back tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, the next KevinMc Sports Hour.